Welcome to the show. This is a Word Network special presentation. It's the Greg Davis Show. Thank you for joining us today as we're live in studio with Bishop Greg Davis.
Day the Lord has made, I will rejoice and be glad. And as we say every day at 1 o'clock, send now prosperity. This is a very special Greg Davis Live. And I want all of the pastors that watch me every day, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to gather make a call right quick. Just make a call right quick. You can ignore me for like 3 minutes, but call someone that operates your social media in your church, your Facebook, your IG. You may not know what IG is or Facebook. Just call somebody young. Call somebody that operate. You may think social media is of the devil. I've heard people say that. But today, we want to change your mind. For those that are watching right now, and I know you say, well, you're on TV, you're talking about social media. But what you don't know, the Word Network has a Facebook page, and if you're not following, please do so, with over 1.3 million that are on there. We have programs that are not even on the television network that are on Facebook for millennials. And this program right now, if you're watching this right now on Facebook, whatever time you may be watching, I want you to share this program because some explosive information that can cause you to grow. But if you think within the walls of the church, it's not for you. Because there's another whole congregation that wants to see what you're doing, that needs what you're doing, that you have a word for. You've been through what you've been through. And instead of being like me some Sundays, and my executive pastor here, Pastor Dana, some Sundays I walk in and I'm like, where the folk at? And then I look at the social media that we're on, Facebook Live and Instagram, and we're on Periscope. And I look at the numbers that are there and the people that watch and the comments that they're making, the lives that I'm blessing from there, and they're giving. And I say, there's another church. When I add up all the people that's following me between my Twitter and my Facebook and my Instagram and Periscope, it's over 100,000 people, literally, that I push one button, because they're all linked up, and those people receive 3 to 4 posts from me today. I do relationship posts every day. I do inspirational in the morning when I wake up. I give them, and people, you know the thing that's blowing my mind now, Pastor? This is what's blowing my mind. I'm going to introduce my guest. Is that I've done it so long now, I go through other people's pages and I see my quotes that they put up there. Now, I put my little name at the bottom, at Bishop Greg Davis, so you ain't taking my intellectual properties. That's another whole subject. But I see people sharing. So my message is being sent throughout the world. People from Africa that get on my live and my social media. Today, let me tell you something. What we're about to share with you can change your ministry. The trajectory of your ministry today can be changed if you're just open. You got to stop thinking outside of the box. What is the box? The box is those walls that you're in, because there's another whole church that's waiting to get what you have to offer. I want to thank God for my bishop, Bishop Joseph Walker, who made a phone call. And I was very envious of him, but he's made up for it, because I saw a picture of him and some other preachers that were at the headquarters of Facebook. And anybody that knows me, social media is my thing. And but he made up for it. He made one phone call and made up for it today. We certainly thank God for Mr. Kevin Adele, who allows us to do this every day. So I gave you all that time to call your social media people, because you're about to learn. And this is how he made up for it. He said, I need you to interview somebody. And I said, who? He said, I need you to interview Miss Nona Jones. I said, who's that? That's the lady that brought us fair. I said, oh, you're making up for it. She is the faith-based partnership leader at Facebook. Now, I need you to understand that she's also a first lady. She's also a preacher. That I found that out since we've been here. She has beautiful children. I've seen a husband who's a pastor. They're from Gainesville, Florida. But her ministry was expanded. She's educated. I'm going to let her tell you about herself. But her ministry was expanded with one phone call. That's why I always say, I don't mean to get spiritual, because it's not that kind of show. You're one phone call away from somebody picking up the phone. Somebody is watching you. She don't even know how they was watching or who told her, whatever. This is a testimony too. Even though we're going to help you, it's a testimony too. Why don't you welcome Miss Nona Jones? Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got to take me with you now to introduce you. That's a good feeling.
You are indeed the ultimate hype man. I will say that.
Thank you so much. Tell us, before we get into the meat of the matter, who is Nona Jones? Tell us, how did you get to this place, being in the position of faith-based partnership leader of Facebook?
So to the first question, who is Nona Jones? Nona is simply a product of the favor of God. That is who I am. Behind that, there is a resume which includes, leadership roles across various sectors, private sector, public sector, nonprofit sector. The way that I ended up at Facebook is just a complete testimony of God's immense grace. Last year, April of 2017, I had started to feel a little bit of discomfort in the organization that I was in. I was in the chief executive, at the chief executive level. I loved what I was doing at the organization, but the culture had started to become unhealthy. It was toxic. And I prayed about it, and I was like, Lord, I plan to be in this role for the rest of my life. I loved what I was doing so much that I planned to retire from that role. But because of the discomfort, I prayed and I was like, Lord, what should I do? And I heard God say so clearly in my spirit, this assignment is over. And imagine hearing that when in your mind and in your heart, you plan to retire from that role. And I was only like 4 years in, so I thought I had another 20 years to go. So it wasn't me. I did not say that. But I prayed about it and I was like, well, Lord, then what's next? And the only thing God said to me, he didn't tell me about a position. He didn't tell me about an opportunity. He said, June 30th is the day I want you to resign. That was the end of our fiscal year. And so I had like 2.5 months to prepare. So over that time, I went back and forth because I was like, well, Lord, what should I do? Because, I feel like I can ride this out. Things may change and I don't want to leave. But I felt like that's what he wanted me to do. So I met with my boss at 1 o'clock on June 30th. That was a Friday. I gave my letter of resignation. I told her why I was leaving. And I left at 1:40 p.m. to get on the road and drive home. At 2:05, I got a call from Facebook out of the blue. And mind you,
1:40, 2:05.
2:05, 25 minutes later. Mind you, as you said earlier, I live in Florida, right? Facebook is headquartered in California, so the whole other side of the country. I don't have a background in technology. I've never worked in social media. When the person called me, they literally said, listen, I don't know if you know, and this was last June, I don't know if you know, but, Mark just changed the mission of the company to focus on community building. And one of the communities that we as a company want to focus on are communities of faith.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were given your name as someone we should talk to about leading this work because it's not something that we've ever focused on as a company. Now, mind you, here's the beauty of it all. My career has always been in the so-called secular world. I've always worked either in corporate America, social profit organizations, but I also have been in ministry for 18 years. And my husband is a pastor, as you said earlier. So they asked me to lead this work, not in spite of the fact that I was in ministry, but because of the fact that I was in ministry. And the clincher of it all was the position was located at our headquarters in California. And I told them, well, I can't move. We have a church in Gainesville. And they literally said, well, we require that you live where your position is located, but we believe you're the right person for this job, and so we'll accommodate. That is nothing short of the grace of God. And so I believe in my heart of hearts that that's why I'm there. And my mission is really to help churches reimagine what Facebook is capable of, because it's more than just a content platform.
Before we get to that, you said something in the back. You said you thought it was a board position or you thought it was a volunteer position, because the Saints always get volunteer positions.
Right.
Come sit on it.
Exactly.
We'll give you a little we used the stipends and
Yes.
love offerings.
Yes.
The little white envelope with the red heart on it.
Yes.
But it's not. It's actually a position, and you get to talk about God.
Yeah, and it's incredible because the actual scope of the position is global. So I'm working
I saw that
with,
on there.
yeah,
Global, yeah.
I'm working with churches literally all over the world. Just last week I had a conversation with Bishop Tudor Bismarck in Africa and the work that he's doing across the continent, and I've talked with the bishop of the Church of Germany. That's 14,000 churches, 22 million people. About how do you leverage Facebook to connect a community of faith. And so it's just been amazing. I guarantee you, if you would have said to me June 29th of 2017 that this is where I would be today, I would have laughed.
We're talking to Nona Jones, faith-based partnership leader. All right, let's get into this. So I have pastors that are watching all the time. They sit in their office, they watch the program. So somebody's saying, I don't do Facebook. There's even those that say, I've heard them say, it's of the devil. Look at the stuff that's out there. I don't want to lose my people from coming to church. They'll stay home. I mean, I know pastors that have like 20, 30,000 members that say this. I'm not going to do that. They get up and say, put your phones down. You're not recording. What do you say to a pastor that is reluctant of social media because they think that, just like in giving, if I give over to social media, then I lose these people from coming to church. They're going to stay home. Sure. I need bodies in the seats. That's what we say.
Yeah.
What do you say?
So a couple things. I think that there is a paradigm, and you just basically articulated it. There's a paradigm that says the church is what happens at the building. But I want to give a few important statistics around that. So first of all, there are 2.46 billion people using social media, okay? There are 8 billion people in the world, 2.5 billion using social media. Of that number, 2 billion are on Facebook. So all the social media platforms combined, Facebook is 2 billion. When you also think about the fact that across America, there are 350,000 churches, we know that 65% of churches are either plateauing or declining in membership. 65%. So if you actually look at what's happening on a Sunday, you will find that there are less people there. If you ask Americans where they are on a Sunday, 40% will say that they're at church, but actual attendance records are 20%.
We have the statistics there on the screen. 20% of Americans actually attend church on Sunday. 30,000 Google searches for church online monthly.
Every month.
2.3 billion Christians in the world.
Yeah. And I think the thing that I want to encourage pastors to understand is what you just said. There are people actively searching for an online church experience. 30,000 people a month. If 30,000 people showed up at your church, would you be able to serve them? And it's not even about just having them sit in the seat, because that may only be a 2-hour experience, right? There are 168 hours in a week. The question becomes, is ministry what happens at that building in 2 hours, or is ministry what happens over the 168 hours in a week? And what Facebook allows you to do is it allows you to transform lives over the 168 hours of the week. And so what I encourage pastors to think about is, have you only been called to reach people for a sliver of time, or have you been called to minister to people's lives? And if you've been called to minister to people's lives, then Facebook is the platform that can enable you to do that.
So then it's more than the experience on, okay, let me talk church. You go on social media, Facebook, Instagram Live, any given Wednesday evening. Literally, you can choose anything you want. I mean, everybody's preaching, whether they're in a church or you have early morning prayer. It's so many, Pastor Dana sitting here, she has a prayer ministry on social media, and thousands that are on there doing that. They're raising orphans. They're doing. You're saying it's past that experience there also, even on Sunday morning when where it's just like you could just choose whatever you want. How do we get past that to reach? Because what I'm seeing now in my church, even though I'm on every day, 6 days a week, I'm on Christian television, reaching 90 million homes, 2 billion, a billion people across the world, 200 countries. But now I'm having people come to church. They're not coming from just this. They're saying, I see your social media campaign.
Right.
I'll do a video in the community in front of a house and saying something about my message. I had people show up from that.
Yeah.
I'm being innovative with social media.
Yeah, we I think have for so long, and you said it at the very top of the show, we have for so long been in this kind of mental boundary of thinking of church as what happens within four walls. What technology has enabled us to do, really, and I'm going to take off my Facebook hat for a minute and put on my ministry hat, what it's enabled us to do is get back to biblical discipleship. So let's look at the life of Jesus for a minute, right? Jesus didn't say, hey, y'all, I'll be at the temple Sundays at 11. Come hear me. People come sit, hear a message, and leave. And he'd say, all right, I'll see y'all next week. He didn't do that. What he did was he was perpetually among the people, answering questions, helping them grow, making sure they had access to resources. I think, unfortunately, what's happened is, and this is why I believe that the church is declining and plateauing in membership, is we have become accustomed to a construct that says we can only minister to you if you come inside of our building. And as a result, you have people who are not going to come to the building who then say, well, I need to find something else. So the charge that I would give to leaders is, if you want to grow the platform of your ministry and you believe you have something to offer people, you have to meet them where they are. And it's not about, getting a new church app, because a church app is really about storing content. But we've been called to be more than a house of content. We've been called to be a house of prayer where lives are changed. And so the platform enables you then to help change lives. And that's really what it's about.
When we come back, I want Nona, I want to say Sister Jones, but she's in her Facebook. I want to ask Nona some things that you can do, like right now, that won't cost anything, that you can do. It's not about another app. It's about using what you have already. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Miss Nona Jones.
Everybody knows that the Word Network is the largest African-American religious and inspirational network in the world. But what you may not know is all the ways you're able to see your favorite shows and content. Of course, we're seen on over 90 million homes in the United States and 200 countries around the world via cable and satellite. But did you know that you can watch us via Facebook Live?
Your greatest liability is your gift. The enemy wouldn't be after you if you weren't gifted.
On our new mobile app.
God said, I'm not carving out no more rocks for you. I'll do the writing, but you got to cut it out for yourself.
On Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, YouTube and YouTube Red, Google Fiber, and more. The Word Network makes finding the gospel easy. We make it accessible, and we continue to find ways to spread the love of Jesus Christ all over the world.
I started Celebration Church because God was leading me for the east side of Detroit. I believe that so many pastors have went suburbs, they went to the west side, and I want to really pick up the legacy of my grandfather, and there was a need on the east side to impact people, and I just thought it was time for me to come back to pastor.
When you collaborate for the kingdom, there has to be like-mindedness. I believe in his vision. I believe that he has a message that people need to hear. I believe that he is, I always say, a progressive leader.
We celebrate him, who is Christ Jesus. We celebrate life. He said, I come that you might have life and that more abundantly. And then we always worship this way, but we forget about this way, so we celebrate one another.
The love atmosphere is just all around this place, and we would love to have you here at Celebration Church of Detroit.
We got about 10 minutes. Welcome back to Greg Davis Live. 855-730-WORD is the number. Of course, the prayer line is always open. This is a different kind of Greg Davis Live, but the prayer line is always open. 855-730-WORD. Of course, you can partner up. Make sure that you continue to support the Word Network so that 24 hours, 7 days a week, you can get the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I always say during the weeks, on one of my shows, I always say, Jesus cannot come back until everybody has heard the gospel. And I believe the scripture literally when he said, and greater works shall you do because I'm going to the Father. And I believe Christian television and social media is part of that greater works. Miss Nona Jones, she again is here with me, and she is the faith-based partnership leader for Facebook, and we're educating you today. And I love doing programs like this. I love preaching, I love teaching, but I love informing people because it's information that's kept from us that will harm us, that we don't know will hurt us. So, okay, we got their attention. What can I do right now? Okay, what are they doing? What are churches doing on Facebook versus what more could we do? Maybe you don't need to take away what you're doing, but how can we add?
Absolutely. So this is a great question. So first of all, the mission of Facebook, and really the reason why I was asked to join the company, is the mission changed. For 10 years, the mission was make the world more open and connected. So that was about helping family and friends connect with one another, empowering organizations to connect with people that want to follow them through pages. And so, we've done that. And I mean, last February, we crossed the 2 billion user threshold. That's a quarter of the Earth's population on Facebook, which is incredible. So we know that churches are predominantly using pages. And pages are great, but what I want to challenge leaders to think about is think of your Facebook presence like it's a house, okay? Your page is like your front porch. So that's where people can come up, they can take you in on a surface level, they can see what you're about superficially, but there's a Facebook group, which is like your living room. That's where people can come inside of your house and they can get to know you and then you can get to know them. What I would encourage churches to do is really go beyond the page, because the page is where you're going to share content. Here's what's happening at the building. Here's the upcoming sermon series. That lets people know what you're about, but it doesn't let them know who you are. A Facebook group enables people to know who you are in an intimate way. And what I've seen in my time in this role is I've seen that a lot of churches have pages, but they're not using groups. And groups is where ministry really can happen.
What is a group? How do I access the group?
You can actually just create a group. You can literally go on the platform, you can go on your page, you can create a group from your page that will actually link to your page. And what a group is, and this is the way that I want leaders to think about it, is your group can literally be your online church campus. It can be the place where people connect with one another, where you can intentionally share information, ask people questions that really help them grow in their faith. You can help people connect with one another around shared interests, shared values. I will give you an example. There's a church that I'm working with, a very, very large church, that launched a Facebook group in partnership with their page. And people started joining the group because they were streaming live. They would live stream and then invite people to the group. The group grew to 10, 11,000 people, okay? Mind you, this church might see a couple thousand people on a Sunday. The group was 10 or 11,000 people. What they started to see in the group is people were having conversations about issues that they were facing, like parents dealing with teens who had attempted suicide, or, parents dealing with teens who were addicted to drugs. And the church saw that, and they realized there was an opportunity to put a ministry infrastructure around real issues, where beforehand the church didn't know those were issues. But because they now had a group, they were able to get visibility into what was happening in the people.
Now, pastors, you're a pastor's wife, you're a preacher. We're very number oriented, so I want to get straight what you just said. The church has about a couple of thousand members. That's a nice sized church.
Yeah.
But the group has increased them to almost 11,000 people.
Yes, because and it's just like what I tell people is, don't think of digital spaces like they're somehow artificial, because digital spaces are real. They're filled with real people. So the same way that on a Sunday you might encourage somebody to invite a friend, people do the exact same thing on Facebook. So you may have a group that has your 2,000 members, but they're inviting 3 and 4 and 5 friends to the group. So people who may never show up to your building are now connected to your ministry, and they have the capacity to support your ministry, and they have the capacity to make disciples and replicate.
Okay, so I'm getting this group started. So do I call the group together, or does the group communicate all the time whenever they want to? So you could put something on the group.
Absolutely. It is its own self-contained, literal digital church. So you imagine you have this Facebook group, which is a space where people join. You want to have a leader. That's very important. The Facebook group needs to have a leader, and I call it your online or your Facebook campus pastor, because people need to be shepherded, right?
So that's another whole pastor church.
Yes.
Somebody that oversees. Awesome.
Yes. So imagine there are many churches that say, I want to open up a new physical location. You don't have to open a physical location in order to reach people. This is why I say reimagine what Facebook is capable of. I work with churches right now that have many physical locations, but they also have Facebook groups in other physical locations where they don't necessarily have a building, but they have a congregation of people who are connected to their church.
Yeah. I want to tell pastors that are watching now how you can get in touch, and her information has been up on the screen, but I want her to tell you how you can get in touch with her and even find out more information, because again, if you can grow your church, doesn't matter if they're sitting in front of you or if they're sitting on a digital platform. We have to think outside of the walls. We have to come up with witty ideas and strategies. And here we have somebody that's representing her. So we have to support her to show Facebook that the church needs this platform. We need somebody to speak on our behalf. We always talk about what the corporations are not doing for the church and all that. Well, here's the opportunity. The problem is we don't respond. And when you don't respond, I can say this yet. When you don't respond, then they say, well, Nona's not needed. Or this, the church don't want to do nothing. We have to get we have to get proactive. So where can they reach you? Where can they send messages to you if they want you to come out and say, Seattle, Washington, they're going to get 100 pastors together where you can talk to them. Mm-hmm. Is that a possibility?
Oh, I always love to be out in the community.
Okay.
You can actually connect with me on Instagram at I am Nona Jones, and that's Nona with 2 N's. Sometimes people say Nora. It is Nona Jones. You can also find me on Facebook. My handle is / I am Nona Jones again. But yeah, just reach out to me. I travel a lot, so I may not respond immediately, but I do always make it a point to respond.
She will respond, yeah.
I will respond, yeah.
We got about 2.5 minutes. I want you to take the camera and look and just make an appeal to them, and just one last time, tell them things that they can do within this 1.5 minutes.
So I truly believe that, and I'm taking my Facebook hat off again because I want to make sure that I speak to you out of the heart of ministry. I believe that we're in a moment. I believe that we're in a moment where we have the capacity to reach people around the world from our zip code. We no longer have to spend and raise thousands and thousands of dollars to do ministry or missions work. We can now do it for free. And Facebook truly is the premier platform to connect with people around the world. I know that there is sometimes trepidation around using social media because there's a fear that there's a lack of control. But what I would say is, just as there is limited control to people walking into your church on a Sunday, it's the exact same way on social media. So don't be afraid of it. Harness it and use it to reach the nations, because that's what Matthew 28:19 has called us to do. So be encouraged, and I'm happy to walk alongside you on this journey.
Let me say this, and you didn't ask me to say this, neither did Facebook, but one of the greatest tools that I use is to promote, like the video you just saw here. We run ads, and I know it costs, but the budget, $50 to reach thousands of people.
Yeah.
$100. I had a young preacher tell me he spent $1,000 one time on an ad. He was in revival, and he said the return on that.
Yeah.
I know that sounds like a lot, but
It's true.
why reinvent the wheel when you have it right there already? Invest. Come out of your box. I'm begging you. Y'all see me here every day preaching, and you have a trust factor with me. We have to Instagram Live, Instagram stories, Instagram posts. Promote your church. Facebook Live. The groups now. I'm going to be talking to my executive, Pat. We're going to get us a group. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we didn't have enough time, but thank you so much, and thank your husband for allowing you to do this. And if you're in Gainesville, the church is?
Open Door Ministries. Yes, please
What
come
time?
see us. 11 a.m. on Sundays.
What's the address?
It is 601 Northeast 19th Street, Gainesville, Florida.
She's switching hats, y'all. First Lady, Facebook. We'll see you next time. Don't forget, follow Bishop Greg Davis everywhere, at Bishop Greg Davis everywhere. Facebook, Instagram. Follow me. We out here.